What's up, YouTube? I'm Kratzilla Vapes, and today I want to show the newbies, or anybody who's wondering how I do it, how I do a simple rebuildable dripping atomizer build. Alright, here we go. Well, alrighty guys, basically these are the bare bones. Oh, hold on. Alright, now these are the bare bones things you're gonna need to put a simple but effective build into your rebuildable dripping atomizer. First we have screwdrivers. I use these Stanley screwdrivers, little cheap set. They have good sizes for coil wrapping. Also, they have good sizes for tightening down the leads and stuff. You may need, I don't know, in this case I do, because the Royal Hunter, this authentic Royal Hunter dripper here, uses grub screws. So real quick, I'm also going to break out the grub screwdriver that I have. Okay, so first, screwdrivers. Then I have scissors to cut my cotton with. These little, now these things are great. They are called flush cutters. Got them at the store. They're like $5. I think they're meant for handmade jewelry, but they work great for our purposes. Also, I have here, this is the cotton I use. I think it's Japanese cotton pads, organic. I have two lengths, I don't know, probably 8 to 10 inches. I cut them pretty long when I wrap coils because I have big hands. It's hard to keep grip on everything. Alright, also here, you're going to need a mod to put it on. Use a mod that has a resistance readout, and that will tell you if it's shorted or not. If you don't have this, if you're just using mechanical mods, you need to check your builds on a ohm reader. They're available for like $10-15 all over the internet, just to check the resistance, because your build needs to be within the proper safe resistance for whatever battery or mod you're using. And with regulated mods, it'll tell you, if it's too low to fire on your mod, it won't fire, so it'll tell you your resistance. Alright, basically, okay, and then obviously the last part, your dripper, what you're putting your build in. Alright, I'm going to go ahead right now. First step, disassemble this dripper. Put it on my scratch little table. Alright. Got some Clapton coils here. I'm going to go ahead and remove those and install a basic build for you guys. Make sure your dripper's on your mod, and also make sure your mod is off. Don't make the mistake I've made 100 times. Pretty bad burns by not making sure the mod was off beforehand. Holding leads and whatnot, touching the coils, hit the button on accident, like, ow! It's not fun. So yeah, always make sure your mod is off when you're building. Better yet, you could put it on the ohm reader. If you're doing it that way, just leave it right on your ohm reader. Alright, next step, I'm going to choose the size of my coils. Choosing what screwdriver to wrap them around. For most drippers, most 22mm drippers, I've been going with a 3mm coil internal diameter. Just seems to work out. I like to build, sometimes I'll eyeball it like this. Just kind of get it, you can see there, like, oh, coil wrapped around that'll look good. Alright, so once you select your diameter, we're going to go ahead and wrap coils on camera for the first time. Alright, let's do it. I'm left-handed, so I'm going to be wrapping with my left hand, holding with my right. If you were right-handed, I'd imagine you'd do it the other way, but it really doesn't matter. You just gotta do it the way that's most comfortable for you. And when our coil is finished, we should have both leads facing the same way, but on opposite sides. You'll see what I mean. One wrap will be going over, and one wrap will be going under the coil. Alright, hold firmly, like so. I'm going to start my wraps. For this dripper, I'm using 22 gauge Canthal here, just because it's easier to work with. Probably should have mentioned that before. But for this dripper, I'm going to do probably, I'm going to do 9 wraps, okay? So here's how you do it. You hold your coil, go down, and when you come up, that's 1, 2, so I'm only counting when I go up, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, I gotta stop. My hands are freaking huge. I slid down the. So I'm at 6 wraps here. I'm gonna get a better grip. 7. Ooh, starting to cross over a little bit. 8. And 9. Get it down there. Sometimes this thicker gauge Canthal, it's harder to work with. You see there, it's not the prettiest coil in the world, but it'll work. It'll probably match the ugliness of my second coil. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is pull these leads down. It's kind of a wrestling match sometime. Let's get it. See, both leads. Oh, almost. Now they're okay. Both leads are facing the same direction, but one is going over the coil, one is going under the coil. And this is how they need to be when installing them in most of your drippers. Not all your drippers, but most of your drippers, you're going to need a coil somewhat like that. Hopefully yours looks a little better. Alright, sorry I messed it up a little bit. I had to undo one because it was 10 wraps. I said I was going for 9, so we're sticking to 9. Alright, and when you count wraps, look at the top of your coil. Look at the top down. Count the number of wraps you see. That's how many wraps you. If you look at the wrong angle, you might count wrong and then wrap your other coil wrong. Take it from me. I've done that many times. Alright, I'm going to wrap my second coil. Alright, there we go. I wrapped the second coil. Take a look. Should be, anyway, 9 wraps from the top down. It's not the prettiest. Alright, then our next step, you want to be careful. Make sure you wrap the same amount of wraps for each coil. I've learned the hard way. It stinks to get your build in there and you clip the leads and then you notice one of the coils, like, why is that coil firing way more than the other one? Oh, it's got a different number of wraps. Alright. To ease this process, what you want to do, and usually my coils land like that anyway, but you want to have one lead longer than the other. Like so. And then you want them both in the same direction. Here's what I'm going to do. I always do negative lead longer than the positive lead. Alright, so I hope that's on camera. I got my negative lead threaded through. And come on. There we go. My positive lead. Sneak it up in there as good as you can get it in there. For now, to make this easier, I'm going to go in from this side because I use the screwdriver to kind of push it in there. Oop, just push the button. That's why we keep it off. Alright, but get it in there. See how I snuck it up as close as I can get it? Now to put the coil, because for these drippers you really want the coil as centered as possible. So what I'm going to do is hold on to the mod firmly and then I'm going to push it in. It's like so. The coil's janking out a little bit there, but I think we're still good. Now what I do before I fasten, just get it as close as you can. Get it in there. Get the coil right in there, because when you start to pretty it up and play with it, you're going to pull it out a little bit from the positive black. Alright, I'm taking my little Torx screwdriver, 1.3 millimeter for this Royal Hunter, and I'm fastening the positive and negative connections. Now you want to go tight, but don't go so tight that you clip your leads. You know, you'll probably learn the hard way, one way or another. Alright, my next step is what I'm doing to pretty it up. The first step to making it look better is just kind of pull it out away from the positive black, and you'll notice the Cantal kind of gives, and you'll start to get the coil where it looks best. I got it pretty good. It's kind of centered there. Alright. Now I don't know exactly how high I want these coils to be yet, but we're just going to leave that like that. I got positive, negative, tightened down. I'm going to remove my screwdriver and go ahead and clip these leads. That's why these jewelry cutters or flush cutters or whatever are so great. You get right in there, boom, cut it off. You need to have these leads cut off as flush as possible. You don't want it sticking out. The ends of those will get hot. Could potentially burn your cotton on the other side or whatever. Alright, to make it easier to install the second coil, because our second positive lead goes in this hole, but that hole has the other coil right on the other side of it. So what I do is I take this coil, and Cantal's easy to work with, so just yank it right up, yank it up so it's clear of that other positive hole. Just makes it easier to install our second coil here. Alright, so now I'm going to thread on my second coil onto the screwdriver, and then you need to install it into the RDA in the same manner as you did with the other one. For this coil, I don't know if you can see, but I've got the positive lead, the one going into the positive middle connection there is the wrap that's going over the coil, so I'm going to do it the same way for this other coil. And it really doesn't matter which way you put it in. Sometimes I use the under lead to go into positive. It's just easier to do it different ways on different atomizers. So with this Royal Hunter dripper, you could really go either way. Alright, now I'm gonna, this ugly coil, now I'm gonna straighten these leads out. Get them straight. And again, to make it easier to work with, real quick, I'm gonna just shorten one of these leads. Alright, now inserting leads. See, it's just going right in because I lifted that other coil high enough to clear it. There's other ways you can go about it, but that's what I do. It's just the easiest. Get the coil out of the way, install your other coil, good to go. Alright, now this one's being, you know, it's a wrestling match sometimes. Get it in there, you know, you don't want to push so hard that your coil becomes distorted at all, but it needs to be seated right in there. Alright, what I'm doing now, I've got my pliers, these needle nose pliers, and I'm just grabbing these leads, not gently, but you know, I'm putting pressure on them. I'm yanking these leads in closer. Ooh, and I'm potentially, you know, scratching my thumb to make sure you got a good grip on it. Okay, I'm starting to get the coil where I want. Get this lead closer. Alright, now, just like with the other one, I'm going to push it. Push it a little closer. Alright. Now, tightening leads. Tighten down this positive connection. The whole thing's spinning a little because it was loosened from the mod. Partially. That's okay. It's tightened now. Tighten these leads down. When you're tightening your leads down, you need to keep whatever you wrap your coils around in the coil. See how I'm doing that? I got the coil right in there. That's going to retain the shape of your coil, because when you tighten these leads down, your coil kind of warps around. It's like, oh man. So what you do is you leave your tool. You know, some people use drill bits. I got a screwdriver, just like little metal rods or whatever. You leave the tool in there when you're installing the coil. Alright, now, same as before, pull it out. Pull her down. See? I pulled that out and it just, wow, that coil looks way better than when I installed it. Alright, now I'm going to detach these leads. This lead can be a tricky fucker too, so real quick, I'm going to get rid of the easy one, that negative lead. Now I'm going to, what I do, you got to make sure you're tight. Watch this coil, the coil that this lead is from, and I'm going to, you can get a little tension on there and just wiggle it. You can see this coil is going as I do that. You know, that could indicate that this might need to be a little tighter. You know, this got it nice and tight.
Break off, tension.
There we go, we got it, okay. Yeah, we're still fine. You know, I fucked that up a bunch of times too, but alright, coils are both in there. This one's still way too high. This is where you really want to pretty them up. I'm going to pull this coil down. Push this one over. You want them to match. They both have the same amount of wraps. You want them in the same spot on opposite sides of your dripper for this dual coil simple build. Let me pull them out a little more. This one. You know. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it perfect, honestly. Just makes everything easier down the road. Alright. Build is installed. Go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and just make sure all of those connections are tight. Just as a safety precaution, you want to make sure oh, yeah, I should have the things in the coil, but whatever. Too late. The real vapor. Doing things mostly right for you. Alright, coils are in there. Now, if you're using your mech mods, this is when you would take it off of whatever you got it on. Put it on your ohm meter, resistance checker, whatever you want to call it, and check your resistance. Make sure the coils aren't shorted out. If any part of that coil is touching the atomizer on any spot that is ground, it causes a short and it won't fire. Alright, I'm going to turn the mod on real quick. Let's check the resistance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clicks to turn most mods on. Alright. Before you start firing it, make sure you're at it. You know, I like to turn it down. Just your coils. If you hit them with too much wattage with nothing in there, it could warp the coil. Potentially just break the coil. I've done that before. Hitting, you know, 1.5 ohm K-Fun builds at 100 watts on accident. There goes your coil. Whoops. Okay. But what do we got? Alright, we're looking at 0.23 ohms. Oh, you hear that? That was the canthal, some of the tension kind of coming out. This is where you start to check for hot spots. Now, hot spot is where your coil is just way hotter in one spot than it should be, like it sounds. You need your coils to be firing evenly from the inside out. So here's what I'm going to do. See that? Hot spot, hot spot. They're all over the freaking place. The first step I do is you keep pulsing it like that. Oh, I lied. There's another essential tool. Tweezers. And the pliers. Okay. By the end of this, you'll know what you need. Alright, what I'm going to do is squeeze one of the coils. Get around there and just give it a good firm squeeze while not firing it because I'm using regular metal tweezers here. Alright. Go over to the other side. Whoa, that coil's firing way fast. Yeah, it's because I hit it with the cool tweezers, but give it a squeeze. Man, this build looks janky. Because I did it on camera. That'll be my excuse. It's okay though, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be perfect. This is about a real vapor, real people that just want to quit smoking. Alright. I pulled it out so they're a little more even. And again, this one fired way cooler because it just had the screwdriver in there cooling it down. Alright, it's starting to look pretty good. See how it's firing pretty evenly? You can go one step further, and what I like to do is you take a flathead screwdriver, something pretty decent size, like this, and what I'm going to do is kind of brush each coil with a decent amount of pressure on there. See, like that. Also, while not firing your mod, brush the coils. Probably helps do them when they're a little hot. Alright, yeah, but we're looking pretty good there. So I've got a dual 9 wrap 22 gauge Canthal A1 build around a 3mm screwdriver in this Royal Hunter RDA. We're sitting at 0.23 ohms. I don't know. That ramp up time's pretty long on this 69 watts. We'll see where it vapes best after I get it wicked up and all that, but we're good to go. The resistance also, yeah, make sure your resistance is staying put. Should be the same resistance every time you, like with a standard Canthal build, you know, you want your resistance to be staying the same the whole time. Alright, now that this is all set, I'm gonna get into wicking and how I wick it. What should we use for wicking? Primarily, I don't know, people use cotton primarily. This right here is Japanese organic cotton pad. You can get these on eBay, Amazon, anywhere online. They're pretty cheap. You get a big pack, it'll last you forever. Some people use cotton balls. Whatever cotton you use, you gotta make sure it's organic. It can't be just the standard bleached cotton balls. I used those when I started vaping, just before I knew any better, and they taste horrible, you know. There's like a horrible break-in period, and I don't know, you're not supposed to inhale that stuff. Anyway, there's other wicking materials that people use. This method, I don't know, I started doing it this way a few months ago, seen it online, seen it called the Scottish wicking method, whatever you want to call it. So basically what I do is I remove one side of this Japanese cotton pad, just this thin layer to kind of expose the fluffy insides. And then all you do is you stretch it. I stretch it from the middle out. See how I'm pinching it? Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to stretch it on this side. Just keep stretching it. As a rough unit of measure, I typically stretch these cotton pads out until they're about 2.5 times as long as they originally were. See, I'm getting there. I'm almost there. It's a little thick still in here and here, but I'm going to go ahead and keep pulling gently. Don't rip it in half, you know, you don't want to make holes in this thing. But pull it apart. What this does is separates the fibers. There's more gaps in between the cotton fibers. Makes it easier for juice to get in there. It'll kind of distort in shape as you do it, but that's kind of what we're looking for. Let's do a little more. A little more on this end. Alright, that should give us about the length I was looking for. Something like that. See how it's roughly, I don't know, about 2.5 of the original size of the cotton pad. Alright, anyway, for these 3mm coils, I found I don't need this whole thing. You would only really need the whole thing if you did a little bit larger. So what I like to do is I take this cotton pad and I'm just going to trim off that weird end. Turn it over, go ahead, and then you just trim off that other weird end. And then, as best you can, just cut it right in the middle, cut it right in half. So now you got these, you're left with these two, you know, get rid of this, get rid of this. Now you're left with two fluffy cotton pads. Sections. Anyway, alright, next step, and this is why it's called the Scottish roll, is you roll it up. Roll it up like a taco or whatever other things you roll. It's kind of hard to do. Just roll it up. Roll it up pretty stiff, pretty tight. Don't go super tight though. You know, this, you want it to fit through your coil snugly. This is going to be real snug when we pull it through those coils. See what I'm doing? So I got it. You're left with something like that. A little freaking cotton joint, whatever you want to call it. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing for this other side. Make sure I'm not wrapping that piece of Kanthal in there. Wrap it up. Roll it up. Now I've been doing it like this. You kind of just cut that pad and, you know, get a piece that fits the coil nice, stuff it through there, good to go. But I find this method, you can get way more puffs from your atomizer in between dripping juice on it, and you get kind of like it's hard to get a dry hit because you always get like this warning hit. You get like this one hit before it's dry, like put juice on there, yeah, you get the kind of dry hit. Alright, right here what I'm doing is I'm just pinching the end of one of my little Scottish roll pieces of cotton, pinching it, and I'm twisting it, and that's going to create an end that's small enough to thread through the coil. Alright, put the mod up here. Alright, that looks like a good spot. Safety precaution, shut off your mod before you wick it. You're going to be real pissed if you do this to your cotton and then get it in there and then burn it before you juice it. You know, pretty much every mistake you hear me discuss, you can just picture me doing it, because I've done them all. Alright, see how it fucking barely fits in there? Use tweezers or pliers or a tool, or you might not need a tool. If you got fingernails, go for it. I do not, so I'm just yanking this end through. Okay, I got enough through. I can grab it with my fingers. Now it's going to be, you know, it's a Scottish roll wicking method, so it's going to be snug in there, but you want it snug. You don't want it, you want it pretty much as snug as it can be, where you can drag it through and not rip it in half. So real quick, I'm just going to yank it through. See how I got it yanked through? And then it bunches up on the one side, like you can see there. Man, this camera will not focus. I'll get a better camera someday. But yeah, okay, you can kind of see the cotton's all bunched up on this side, skinnier on the side where it already went through. So all you're going to do is yank it through pretty good, and then you pull it back the other way, and then you get kind of the same tension on either side of the coil. Alright, now all I'm going to do is do it for the next side. Here, take this, take my other Scottish roll piece, pinch it up. Get on that other side of the dripper. Ooh, you can see it's kind of too thick. You're gonna run into this sometimes. So what I'm doing is I'm just pinching it harder. You know, I'm gonna try to. I don't want to take any cotton away from this if I don't have to. Thread it through. Grab it. Ooh, just hit the button. See, this is why your mod is off right now. Okay, see, I got it. I didn't have to take any cotton off. I'm going to pull it back just to give it that same kind of tension. Alright, we're done. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Next step, just gonna go ahead and, I don't know, when you wick and dripper this way with the Scottish, you really only need the wicks to touch the bottom of the deck, just barely, just the bottom of your juice well rather. So for this, I don't know, you can kind of push your wicks down like so. So I'm kind of eyeball what you're gonna need, but after you own a dripper for a while, you get an idea. I'm just gonna go like that. You want everything even. Symmetry is definitely a good thing to have going on when you're doing a dual coil build. You want those coils firing evenly. You want the same amount of wicks on each side. You know, you want that same tension on the wick so the juice feeds evenly. Alright, my next step, I'm going to take my trusty flathead screwdriver. I'm just going to start tucking these wicks, and all you do is you just finagle, kind of push the cotton wicks on either side into this juice well. And it's different, like some drippers have little cavities down here where you can clearly see where it's supposed to go. This one's kind of just a circle on the inside. But you can see what I'm doing. I'm just pushing these wicks in here. Drag them off. You want to leave this open here, like right under the coil, because typically like your airflow is going to be hitting the coil right straight ahead. So you want the air to be able to go under and over the coil. So what I do is, once you get your wicks in there, you know, make sure they're clear of that bottom part. You want it to pretty much look like that. Alright, now I'm going to go on here on the other side and make it look like that. This screwdriver's kind of big for what I'm doing, but whatever. Alright, again, push the cotton over there. You don't want the cotton to be like cinched anywhere either when you do these. This move right here, you start to put the cotton in there. Make sure you're not crimping the cotton all weird, something like that. You know, you want it to lay naturally, I guess, is what you would say. Alright, cotton's all in there. We are wicked up. Again, 9 wraps, 22 gauge Cantal, 3mm internal diameter, Royal Hunter dripper sitting on the Joytech Cuboid box mod. Now that we have our wicks in there, I'm going to go ahead and grab a juice. What I'm going to be vaping is some of this Sweet Complexity fuzzy. The label is not fuzzy. My camera just stinks. Alright, this is a 65-35 VG-PG blend, I believe. 6 milligram. You know, that's the juice I typically get. Mostly VG, not max VG. 6 milligram, that's what I've been going with. Alright, but yeah, when you have your dry cotton build, do not fire it until you juice it. We're gonna go ahead and start applying juice. I go over each coil like so. You know, go kind of slowly. You don't want to just be like, you know, get juice running all over the fucking place. So, do a couple more stripes right over the top of the build. Give it a couple drops, just like that. Give it a second. You'll see it start to soak in. What I'm doing is hitting these cottontails with some of this delicious Sweet Complexity e-juice from Vape Wild. It's good stuff. It won't break the bank either. You see, you know, like I'd love to see a taste of premium juice like this. I don't know. Alright, let's see what we're getting. Alright, vapor! Yeah. Looks pretty good. Alright, I usually fire it a few times like that, just make sure everything's looking hunky-dory. And then because I think I have slight OCD, I always hit it with a little more juice. And then, alright, we're almost ready to vape. What we're going to do is install our top cap. Point those air holes on whatever dripper you're using. Point your air holes right at your coils. Typically, that's how you're going to want to do it. That's how I always do it. So you can see there, I've got the... Well, can you see there? I don't know, hold on. Alright, yeah, there, you can see there, I've got the air hole right there in front of the coil. And then you can go ahead and take your top cap on this Royal Hunter. You can see there's 3 cuts. The 2 that are right across from each other, that's for our dual coil build like we're doing here. The 1, that would be a single coil build. But for dual coils, we're just going to put it in there just like so. Fix it in there and you are ready to go. Sorry it took forever, but that is a simple build. How I wick, how I juice, how I vape drippers. Alright, we're going to head back up. Just going to have a couple final thoughts and then we'll wrap this up. Alright, if that didn't take fucking forever, sorry, I thought the video would be a little shorter. But, yeah, I did what I wanted to do, show you how I build these things. Yeah, let me take a cloud off that, well, take a hit off that build I just did. We're going to hit it, I don't know, let me try 80 watts first, just see what it's doing. See, I don't know, it's working pretty good. Taste is there, you get the flavor, you get a big cloud. It's a simple, satisfying build. I did this with 22 gauge. You could do a build like this with any gauge wire you want. I chose 22 because it was easier for my shitty camera to see, easier for me to work with, and I don't know, I like using thicker wires. I started with 28 gauge originally. That was tough to work with, so 26, 24, 22, much easier, but the thicker the wire is, the less resistant it is. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this first little up-close build video. I'm Kratzilla Vapes. Thanks for watching this video, and like, comment, subscribe, should you feel the urge. Alright, stay metal.